Welcome back to Tech Stack for all you tech enthusiasts. In this video, we will cover Angular routing in detail and also create a navigation bar using Bootstrap. This will help us understand how routing works in Angular and how we can integrate Bootstrap into an Angular application. So far, we have created 4 components in our Angular application: add employee, data binding, employee list, and variables. Right now, we are rendering these components in the app component HTML using their component selectors. To navigate from one page to another, we use routing. Angular comes with a built-in routing library by default. In React, we have to install a separate routing library, but Angular already provides routing because Angular is a framework, whereas React is just a library. When we create an Angular project, we get a routing file by default. Inside this file, we see an empty routes array. This array is where we define routes for all the components we want to navigate between. We do not create a route for the app component because it is the parent component of the entire application. Each route is simply an object that tells Angular which URL path to use and which component to load for that path. Now let's define routes for all 4 components we have created. Each route maps a URL path to a specific component: add employee, data binding, employee list, variables. In a route configuration, path defines the URL that will be used to access a component, and component specifies which component should be loaded when that path is accessed. We have now created routes for all 4 of our components. In the app component, we need to add a router outlet. This acts as a placeholder where Angular will load and display the activated routes component. Router outlet is a directive that helps Angular know where to render the routed components. By the way, this is a very common interview question, so remember it well. Also, make sure that router outlet is included in the imports array of the app component decorator. This is necessary for Angular to recognize and render the routed components inside the router outlet. Now, open the terminal and run the application using the ng-serve command. The application is now running on localhost at port 4200. Right now, nothing is displayed because we haven't handled the empty route yet. Let's fix that by setting up a default route. This tells Angular that when the URL is empty, it should automatically redirect to the data binding component. The path match full ensures that the entire URL is matched before redirecting. Perfect. The empty route is now handled, and the application will redirect to the data binding component by default. Now let's check the other routes to make sure they are working correctly and the corresponding components are loading as expected. As you can see, the routes are working fine. But we don't want users to manually type the URLs to navigate between pages. So, we need to create a navigation bar. To make it look good, we'll install Bootstrap and use it for a nav bar. Go to npm, which is the node package manager where thousands of JavaScript libraries are hosted. Similarly, the Bootstrap library is also available on npm, so we can install it directly into our Angular project. Here is the Bootstrap library on npm. Copy the installation command to add it to your Angular project. Now, open the package.json file. It contains a list of all the packages that our Angular project is using. After installing Bootstrap, you will see a new entry for Bootstrap along with its version. This confirms that the library has been successfully added to the project. The installation is complete, and the Bootstrap entry has been added to the package.json file. As you can see, it installed the latest version of Bootstrap. Next, open the angular.json file and add the path of bootstrap.min.css to the styles array. You can find this file in the node_modules/bootstrap/dist/css folder. This will allow Angular to include Bootstrap styles globally in the project. We're going to add a navbar in the app component HTML file. To get a ready-made navbar, we can generate the HTML using ChatGPT. Now, let's open ChatGPT to get the navbar code. To generate the navbar, we provide this prompt to ChatGPT. We'll also include this prompt in the video description. I need a Bootstrap navbar with few links. Please provide only the HTML code without the body tag. Include just one div for the navbar and one div for page content. This will give us a clean, ready-to-use navbar HTML for our Angular project. It might take a few moments for ChatGPT to generate the code, so be patient while it prepares the navbar HTML. Perfect. ChatGPT has returned the HTML code for the navbar. Now, let's copy the generated navbar HTML code and paste it into the app component HTML file. Next, move the router outlet inside A with the class container. This will ensure that all routed components are displayed nicely within the Bootstrap container layout. Now, run the project again using the ngserve command to check if the navbar is displaying correctly. As you can see, the navbar is now displaying perfectly in our Angular application. Now, we want each navbar link to load its respective component when clicked. We'll achieve this by using Angular's routerLink directive on each link. Now, instead of using href for the navbar links, we will use Angular's routerLink directive. Why? Because routerLink allows Angular to handle navigation internally without reloading the entire page, keeping it a single-page application. Using href would cause a full-page reload, which we want to avoid in Angular. Next, make sure to add routerLink to the imports array of the app component decorator. This allows Angular to recognize and use the routerLink directive in our templates. Now, replace the href attributes with routerLink on each navbar link. For routerLink, provide the proper path that we defined earlier in our route configuration for each component. In each anchor tag, make sure to provide clear and proper text so users know which page each link navigates to. Now, let's check if the navbar is working correctly and navigating to the respective components as expected. As you can see, the route paths in the URL change when we click the links, and the corresponding components are loaded correctly. This shows that our routing and navbar are working perfectly. Suppose a user enters a route that does not exist in our application. Currently, the application will break because we haven't handled invalid routes yet. Now, let's create a new component to handle unknown or invalid routes. We'll name this component NotFound. Now, open the routes file and add a wildcard route to handle all unknown paths. This route will load the NotFound component whenever a user navigates to a non-existent URL. Next, open the NotFound component HTML file and add proper content to indicate that the page was not found. In H1 tag, show 404. In paragraph tag, show page not found. Now run the application using the ng-serve command. Now, in the browser's address bar, manually type users after the base URL. It didn't work. Looks like we made a mistake in the routing. Let's check it step by step. Yes, we made two mistakes. In Angular routing, the wildcard route must use a double asterisk to catch all unknown paths, but we accidentally used a single asterisk, which is not valid. The second mistake is that the wildcard route must always be placed at the end of the routes array. If it's defined earlier, Angular will match it first, and other routes will never load. Now, in the browser's address bar, manually type users after the base URL. Perfect. As you can see, when we type users in the browser, Angular displays the NotFound component, which means our wildcard routing is working correctly. In this video, we covered Angular routing and learned how to navigate between components using routes. We also integrated Bootstrap to create a responsive navbar and used routerLink to load components without reloading the page. In the next video, we'll explore Angular signals and understand how they improve state management. Thanks for watching. Keep learning. If you're passionate about learning new technologies, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Tech Stack, and keep learning new skills. Thank you. And remember, consistency is the key to success.